Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our hosts, Sri Rajagopalan, Peter V.S. Bond, and Brian Gildenberg explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys. Hello and welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. I'm PVSB, and when I'm not co-hosting this podcast, I work at Flywheel, a division of Omnicom that helps brands of all sizes grow their full funnel commerce revenue. My fellow co-founder of the CPG Guys, Sri, is on his way back from Shop Talk Europe in Barcelona, where he spent a few days with our dear friends, the FMCG Guys. So he's unable to join us today, but please do check out the kickoff party video from Shop Talk Europe that is pinned to the top of the CPG Guys LinkedIn page. Lots of great people joined us to kick off that big event. And also make sure to listen to his elder daughter, Ray Raj's music, and follow his younger daughter, Lara, as she gets ready to launch this August the new album of her girls' Cat's Eye band that's part of Universal Music Group and Geffen Records. Very excited about that. His wife, Kavita, has her own podcast called Lights, Camera, and Conversation. Links to all of the social media profiles of the Raj family and their growing media empire can be found in the digital liner notes of this episode. Before we get to our special guest today, I want to ask you to help spread the word about this great community we're creating in the CPG Guys. Beyond sharing our podcasts with your colleagues and friends, if you're using Apple or Spotify as your preferred listening platform, do us a favor because it really matters. Please go over to that to our page on that platform, scroll down to the rating and review section and give us a star rating. That really is going to help feed the algorithm that drives visibility and searchability, findability of our podcast among like-minded professionals in our industry that are looking to be educated and entertained. So it's really important. Please do that. We really do appreciate it. We just crossed 100 reviews. That's a huge deal for us. And we'd love your feedback. And while you're there, not only your rating, a review is important because we want to hear what it is you want us to talk about. Who should we invite on this podcast so that we make sure we're very relevant to what you would like to learn more about. We're also very happy that CPG Guys is part of an impressive collective of highly rated podcasts, including CPG Scoop with Risa Crandall and Jennifer Silverberg, and of course the FMCG Guys, which I mentioned earlier, Daniel, Efrain, and Christine, who are taking our platform and focusing on the European market in particular to have these kinds of conversations around fast-moving consumer goods. Links to our podcast, our sister cast, our landing page on Next Up, and the social media profiles of the entire Raj family, including their 3 cats, may be found in the digital liner notes of this podcast episode. No need to write anything down. Just toggle over. 90+% of you are listening on a mobile device. Hyperlinks are all there. Makes it real easy. You can follow the Raj family, and you can find me as well. So anyhow, let's get this conversation going. At the heart of successful e-commerce platforms, at the end of the day, is the customer experience, how the user of that platform finds it productive in terms of helping them accomplish their goal of procuring goods and services. If the site doesn't deliver a seamless, functional, pleasing, and expedited customer experience, the reality is consumers aren't going to use it. In the grocery category, 90% of sales still occur in physical stores. But don't think that digital customer experience doesn't matter. Digitally influenced sales are increasingly accounting for a large part of physical store purchase, including things like curbside pickup and actual trips into the store. I'm sure our guest can probably talk to us about people who end up doing an e-commerce curbside transaction and then actually walk into the store after they've already done it, because that's a pretty big piece of business. But in any event, during COVID, Albertsons Companies embarked on a transformative journey towards omni-channel excellence, seamlessly integrating its brick-and-mortar stores with digital platforms to meet evolving customer needs. Here to share with us how leveraging innovative technologies and data-driven insights, Albertsons was actually able to optimize their online presence, enhancing convenience and accessibility for shoppers, and transition from a traditional brick and mortar retailer into what is now considered by many to be a digital powerhouse. She's the SVP of Digital Shopping Experience. Please join me in welcoming to the podcast, Jill Pavlovich. Jill, good morning. How you doing?
Hello. Good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me today.
I am so excited to have you here. You know, Albertsons is one of our favorite companies to have guests on. We've had, seems like 6,000 people from the Media Collective on. We had your...
Oh, I feel so special.
There you go. No, but you know what? We had Suzanne Long, who came and talked to us about sustainability. And of course, your colleague and my dear friend, Lisa Kinney, who I knew from my dunnhumby days, to talk about what she's doing around loyalty and data and analytics. But to talk about the customer experience side of things, we're really, really excited to have you here because we think, as I mentioned, this is a core component of getting people to engage in driving sales for the company, and this concept of digitally influenced is very important in your space. Before we get to the questions I prepared for you, it'd be great if you would just level set for our audience. What is the Albertsons Companies and what is your role there?
Sure. Well, the Albertsons Companies is a very large traditional grocery retailer with many different local or regional banners such as Safeway, Tom Thumb, Star Market, and Shaw's on the East Coast. And what I do for Albertsons Companies is I lead our digital team to provide seamless omni-channel connected experiences to millions of shoppers who are digitally engaged with us. Myself and the team focus a lot of our time working to transform Albertsons to an omni-channel retailer and becoming a service provider that meets customers' needs no matter how they choose to shop or engage with us.
Thank you for that, Jill. We're going to include in the digital liner notes of this episode links to your LinkedIn profile, Albertsons LinkedIn page, and of course the corporate website so our listeners can go learn more about you and the company you work for. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank your colleague and my dear friend, Christy Argelin, for connecting us. We're so glad that she was able to help facilitate our conversation today.
She's amazing, and I'm so glad for the connection as well.
There's nothing I don't love about Christy. She is just a phenom and such an inspirational leader in this industry. So, all right.
She really is. I learn from her every day.
Don't we all? All right. So, Jill, my first question is: you obviously have some very rich classic merchandising and marketing experience. I'd love to hear, as you kind of transitioned into this new role leading digital shopping experiences at Albertsons, what were some of the relevant experiences that you had that really prepared you or shaped your career to succeed in the role you now have?
Yeah, I kind of credit two big moments. It's first, you mentioned it in the question, my upbringing in traditional fashion merchandising. And then second, really my time spent at Wayfair. And as it relates to that time in fashion merchandising, there's just no better place to learn rigor and develop a compulsive customer obsession than in jobs where you have to develop physical garments that have a defined fixture and square footage of space on a retail floor. The lead times are long, the trends change rapidly. Each season you get maybe one or two times, if you're lucky, to get it right with 4 to 8 styles. That's just a lot of pressure and requires a deep customer obsession and understanding those trends. But even more than the trends themselves, understanding the underlying customer need, powering them. So that has really shaped my ability to lead and think about the customer experience and build customer-backed experiences. And then, my time spent at Wayfair, it's just an amazing company with an amazing set of individuals. And they gave me the most unbelievable, mind-spinning crash course in technology and building technical products and digital experiences for customers. And it was there that I also learned, how to iterate, how to test and learn and iterate on experiences while also building experiences that scaled. They were more extensible to other areas of the business, to the site, to other experiences we were trying to build, really thinking like platform level versus individual customer moment level.
So, Jill, I think to what you mentioned on apparel, it's so fascinating for me because it's fundamentally different than consumer goods, where, sure, you have 3 different sizes Cheerios boxes, but at the end of the day, every consumer can consume cereal regardless of that. When you're selling apparel, and to your point, different variations are sizes, are colors. That adds such a level of complexity to the whole merchandising strategy. What a great experience that prepares you for thinking about, moving into this space where it's not nearly as complex, but it probably gives you a great number of ideas about what you can do in this space that maybe isn't traditionally done.
It does. And one of the big learnings, I had from that experience was 5 feet, 5 seconds, right? You have 5 feet of distance and 5 seconds to capture a customer's attention span, right? And you know that the thing you're going to sell is the basic white t-shirt, but that's not the thing that's bringing them over. And so how do you balance that assortment? And we think about building digital experiences on our digital storefront in a similar way, like what's going to capture their attention and make their need feel met? Oh, hey, they know me. They've got what I need, but also get them to the box of Cheerios, the banana, the milk, and the bread.
So you joined Albertsons a year into the pandemic. As you took the lead in your group, would love to hear about the priorities that you either inherited, adapted, or thought about establishing that really guided your direction over the last 3 years.
Sure. Well, first, I can't believe it was only a year into the pandemic. That time of COVID is such a time warp for me. They really are those lost years. But as I look at my role, and what I kind of entered into as I joined the company, the focus was really digital transformation. And I was lucky, actually, that there was a transformation strategy penned. And I really commend the team for that. When I joined, the focus had been almost myopically stand up a first-party e-commerce capability and experience so that customers could get groceries online and do it fast. And I saw my job as really, taking that to the next level, taking our transformation beyond that and really starting to think through deeply the mindset of our customer, identifying not just the problems that they had during COVID, get groceries without having to go into the store, but what causes their mental burden around food and how could and would Albertsons play a role in reducing that burden, making it easier for them to plan, to shop, to save, and be inspired. And really from there, after understanding that deeper customer pain point, we began to imagine things a little bit differently. We began to imagine a suite of omni-channel connected experiences that would change how our customers engaged with us, regardless of how they chose to shop with us. And as I think back on it, that was really that defining moment that changed the trajectory from away from just e-com and transactional experiences and engagements with our customers to a true digital ecosystem that really helped our customers with their most foundational needs, get food the way they needed to get it in that moment.
What I want to call it, what you just said, is understanding that it's not an absolute, they either shop in a store or they buy it through e-commerce. It is a continuum. That's why we talked about digital shopping experience. And I think to your point, engaging consumers where they are, not where you're trying to force them to go, and then trying to make it as easy as possible for them to achieve their objective. They want to feed the family, providing them with the recipe and enabling them to get all the products they want for that recipe in one quick engagement is going to save them an enormous amount of time, and it's going to build a tremendous amount of loyalty when you start thinking about doing those kinds of activities. So that is phenomenal. So content is at the heart of organic search. I'm going to put paid media aside because that's Christy and her team, right? But let's talk about organic search, because if a consumer can't find a product, or they don't know enough about the product to make an educated decision, they're not going to buy the product. So obviously, to have a really great customer experience, you need rich content. You need images, you need product descriptions, you need to know health lifestyle compliance. So my question to you is this: how do you think about procuring all of the content that you need that will drive the maximum amount of conversion and satisfy Albertsons shoppers? Is it actually about owning the content, or is it about just being able to access meaningful content? And kind of tied into that is, how do you make sure that the customer experience for your site and the content that you're sourcing is relevant for your site, not just the same content that 5 other retailers have on their sites?
Yeah, I love that you're asking questions about content, because nobody ever wants to talk about content, and it's one of my favorite things to speak about. Because without it, what do you really have in a digital world? And I always joke with my team, we don't sell food, we sell images, and we deliver food. So to your point, without strong images and content that makes it easier for customers to make a purchasing decision, you can't expect them to have confidence in your experience. So it's foundational to everything we do. And we first think about content at the most basic level. What do customers need to know to make informed decisions? Image, brand, copy, price. If it's on sale, what's nutritional information in our world, right? And then we say, okay, what's next? They get all of that information on the box in the store, and online they get that from the product card or, the page description. In store, there's more of this five sensory experience. They can touch, taste in some cases, smell, right? They can pick their own produce. So what is the content that we need to enable that 5 sensory experience digitally, right? And what do we need to make it yummy? Is it better imagery, right? Not just the product imagery, but a lifestyle image. Is it recipe inspiration attached to that individual avocado? Are there 6 different recipes what customers can do with that avocado today? Bundling the avocado with other helpful products, smart curation. And then from there, we think, okay, what's next level? How do we have a conversation around the item and layer on things like reviews to help our digital customers engage more in that conversation? What are their peers saying? Did we, was it fresh? Do people love the new own brand item? That type of thing. And I think you asked in there about owning content.
Yeah, is it about you necessarily owning the content, or how do you think about going and putting together a collection of content from different sources to deliver that ultimately satisfying CX for your shoppers?
I think it depends, and certain content makes sense to be universally shared, right? If we're talking Cheerios, if we're talking Tide, we want the CPG content. That is what the customer expects. That is what they need to see and know. But then how do we layer on our owned content onto those items that make it more inspirational, that bring the Albertsons flair and the Albertsons sincerely brand promise to life through, whether it's the brand image, the differentiated storytelling, the owned recipes, and then any type of social conversation that we engage in our own channels around with these products. So I think it's a mixed bag, right? There's a time for shared content, and there's the time to own your own brand image and inspirational content.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because obviously you can source images and copy and even ratings and reviews for the branded products, but the most important brand that Albertsons Companies carries are your own brands, right? Because they're only available there. And you're not going to be able to source any of that content from another brand manufacturer. So it's kind of beholden upon you and your team to make sure that the quality of the content for your own brands is up to snuff, I guess, for the experience that you're looking. So it's beholden on you to think about, well, I've got to go out and find ways to get my shoppers who are buying my brands to share their feedback with me through ratings and reviews, through videos and images and all that, to build trust in those brands so that consumers know that these aren't national brands, but they are highly respected brands by the shoppers that have actually bought them at our stores.
That's right. And, we try to take that a step further and not just put that, ratings and reviews contents on our own brand product, but engage in a dialogue. When we get feedback from our customers on our own brands products, we'll make changes, right? We are using it not just as a way to sell product, but as a way to capture additional customer feedback, which then strengthens that trust, increases the conversion. So it really is a full flywheel effect when we talk about content.
Phenomenal. So I'd love to understand around key performance indicators. What do you focus on when it comes to digital shopping experiences, and how do you go about measuring them? It's like you have an idea of, well, I'd like to do this. Well, how do you get that? How does that kind of come to life? What do you at the end of the day judge your team's performance on to make sure that they're achieving your objectives?
Yeah, great question. I mean, for every feature, experience, initiative that we imagine up or that a voice of the customer guides us towards, we establish a robust set of KPIs that start with the basics, right? Are customers using it? Customer adoption. Are customers continuing to use it? Retention. Do customers like it? So NPS, customer feedback. And that all ultimately ends with a deeper understanding of the customer behavior around using that feature, that experience, that initiative, that ultimately drives business outcomes. And honestly, in some cases, not business outcomes. We certainly don't get it right all the time. And at a more macro level, I always like to use a heartbeat framework. It's a standard measurement that really puts customer centricity at the center. So we have rigorous tracking for our, let's call it our all up digital experience, and then individual experiences within our suite of experiences. We have rigorous tracking around heart. So H for customer happiness. What are our ratings and reviews? What are our app store ratings? E for engagement. What are customers doing and for how long? A for adoption. How many new customers are we attracting? R, of course, for retention. How many customers come back and how frequently? And T for task success. Were they able to do what they came to do, right? And you can measure that in many different ways. It often depends on the experience that you're building, but task success is a really important measurement for a good digital experience.
Let me remind our audience that we are speaking with Jill Pavlovich. She's the Senior Vice President of Digital Shopping Experiences at Albertsons Companies. So, Jill, thank you for this. I want to think a little bit about what's kind of going on behind the curtain to make all of this happen, and I'm referring to the tech stack. Now, we've obviously had detailed conversations with your counterparts at Albertsons Media Collective on their ad tech stack and the partnerships they've established. But for your customer experience, would love to understand how you approach building a meaningful and ultimately sustainable tech stack that delivers that best-in-class digital shopping experience.
Yeah, I mean, for us on our side, building the digital shopping experience, it all goes back to the customer. It begins and it ends with them, right? And we think about building our tech stack around them as we aim to simplify our grocery shopping experience and reduce that cognitive load associated with food-related tasks, and do so with connected digital experiences that make grocery shopping more convenient and enjoyable for our customers. So I'd say, like, the first thing we do is we identify the need and the pain point. We commit to solving it or reducing it. And then we stay. The thing about it is we stay on that customer journey as it evolves and changes. We don't have a product as a service model. We don't launch it and leave it, right? We stay. When we say, hey, these are the most used features in the apps, these are critical, foundational journeys, search, deals, list building, in-store mode, right? We, connect all of those experiences. Can you push your list to cart? Can you move your cart to a list? Can you push your list to your in-store shopping moment and navigate around the store, right? Connected. And then they evolve together as the customer needs evolves. As the customers become more digitally savvy in grocery shopping, we have to keep up with their needs. Their needs will evolve. They'll advance beyond traditional shopping and searching.
I mean, are there any guiding principles for you around build versus buy that you kind of think about when you're considering how you want to develop a meaningful tech stack?
Yeah, I mean, we balance it based on, speed and ownability, right? So we often ask ourselves, how urgent is the customer need? And what can get us there fastest? And obviously we're a business at what cost, right? And so we enter, as we look, there are things that we can own easily. There are things that, are faster to buy. And we attempt to balance that based on how urgent we're looking to solve a customer need or pain point.
Yeah. And I've got to imagine that things that when you say what's the ownability, right? One example we talked about was product ratings and reviews coming from brands, like going and building the ability to go and collect all that content from like 10,000 suppliers that call on Albertsons is probably not the best spent time of your team. So going and partnering with someone like Power Reviews, who does that as their business model and then provides you with one integration point where they seamlessly match the content they have so that it can display on your site. That is an efficient use of a third-party partner to make your tech stack ultimately manageable and let you focus on the things that you can't source through mechanisms like that.
Absolutely. That's a perfect example.
Cool. So we talked about Albertsons Media Collective. As I mentioned, they've been on our podcast 6 times talking about their retail media network. What I've never asked someone in your kind of a role at a retailer is, like, how do you partner with the retail media team? Because you're kind of like, do you only work with them on your owned and operated properties? Or is there anything that you do with them through maybe none of your properties? Like, how do you ensure that particularly on your owned and operated, like your banner sites, how you are creating a customer experience that allows them to monetize their business, help brands engage shoppers, and it still delivers a meaningful customer experience that's not going to dissuade shoppers from wanting to use your site or your mobile apps?
Oh, it's such a good question. Well, I mean, I should start off by saying, and you already know this, Christy and I and our teams have a very close, deep partnership. As much of what happens in Christy's world is enabled by an on-site or digital feature set. And Christy and I together think of our retail media business as another means to deliver an exceptional customer experience, another way to meet customer needs, whether it's surfacing them the perfect deal for them that happens to be monetized, or helping them discover new items that also happen to be monetized. If you think of these two things in harmony, you continue to do the right thing for the customer while also promoting products through our monetization capabilities. So again, we don't see the tension, we don't see a conflict, because we think of them as we think of it as a way to deliver a better customer experience.
You got to be doing something right over there, because the awards have been rather forthcoming of late for Albertsons. You got a Webby Award for People's Voice in shopping and retail category. You got 2 Stevie Awards, one for your app, which won first place for best user experience, and one for your shoppable recipes experience within your app, which won first place in the food and drink category. And you personally won a customer obsessed leadership award from Forrester. Like, what's going on over there? You guys are drinking some good water.
Well, honestly, I'm not sure that it's the water, but I'm definitely sure it's who's behind it. The Albertsons digital team is just a customer obsessed team. They are so passionate about what they do and work so hard with relentless focus. And it's starting to show, right? Their hard work and dedication and focus is starting to be recognized by the industry, but more importantly, our customers. And honestly, we're all just so humbled by this recent recognition. And it's been such a joy to see the fruits of the team's labor being so honored. It really makes what we do and love even more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's very clear in all my dealings with Albertsons, be it on your side or on the retail media side with Christy, that everybody's having a lot of fun. They're doing great work and they're delivering great experiences for customers. And at the end of the day, that's probably a good measure of why the recognition has been forthcoming. So that's pretty good. So my last question to you, Jill, is around looking towards the future. Are there particular digital shopping trends and capabilities that you're really focused on in terms of building a better shopping experience in Albertsons? Like, what's got your attention right now beyond? I kind of feel like we're in the final puzzle of Wheel of Fortune, and I'm going to already give you the RSTL, and like someone's going to say AI, and someone's going to say,
I was going to say, of course.
But that's okay. That's okay. You tell me what you are really focused on.
I mean, listen, we're really focused on watching our customers in all the ways that they shop. So there's a lot of trends. We're all talking generative AI. How can you not be, right?
And you have to be in your content. Like, there is nothing more important or more important applicability of generative AI than in your space, the content that will drive conversion.
The content and the conversation, right? That's both enabled through generative AI, but we're watching, we're testing, we're learning. We want to follow the customer. We have to meet them where they are. And if they're not going to use it, what did we do it for, right? So that's really our top priority, is staying true to our mission, which is, as a company, bringing people together around the joys of food and inspiring well-being. And to do this, honestly, we have to be brilliant at making it easy for customers to plan, shop, and save and be inspired, period. Regardless of the trend, the capability, we have to deliver on that promise to remove the cognitive load that people experience around food. People's needs to buy food will never go away. This is not a trend, but how they do it will continue to evolve. And so I don't think it's one trend, one capability. We're constantly assessing kind of all of them, but really watching the customer. Personally, I spend a day a month being in the stores, and that's just not being in the stores. That's actually working the stores, because you learn more about your industry and the customers you're serving by serving them directly. I can't do that behind the digital screen. I can listen to them after they've had an experience. In the stores, I get to interact with them while they're having the experience. And things are changing. Their expectations are changing. They want convenience. They want it faster. They want to get through the lines quicker, right? And so what is that digital, what does that convert to into a digital experience? How do I make that in-store moment digitized and even better and more amplified? And so that is our focus. We watch the trends. We listen to the customer.
I think that's great, and I'm glad to hear that you spend time out in the physical stores. As I mentioned earlier, it's where most of the sales still occur. But I'm one of those geeks that when I'm on vacation, I get up while everyone's still asleep, and I go out and check stores, because if I do it during the hour, they're like, "Why are you not with us?" I'm like, "Because I'm out looking at stores." But I learned so much. I love watching people shop. I love seeing how they use their devices. I love sitting by curbside and seeing how many people come in, products brought to them, and then they walk into the store and get something else. I mean, that kind of stuff just fascinates me, because that's about the customer experience. And as we start thinking about making that even more relevant, how do you bring impulse into a curbside pickup? What kind of experience is that?
Well, that hybrid shop is so powerful, right? You leave feeling like a superhuman. You're like, I just saved myself 45 minutes because they delivered almost everything to the trunk of my car, and I had to run in for two things, right? I cut that time burden out, but still had the flexibility to get more that I forgot, right? So I think it's just like a life hack too, and bringing more awareness to that for shoppers. And
How can I plan an entire week of family dinner meals in 10 minutes through a mobile app that can source me all of the ingredients and dump it into my bag and let me go and buy it? That's a huge life hack, right?
Have you experienced Albertsons meal
It's
planning capability?
phenomenal.
We
It is
have
phenomenal.
over 9,000 proprietary recipes developed by our in-house dietitians. You can input your dietary preferences, your family size. We will customize menus and recipe options based on your preferences. And you can add all ingredients for a week's worth of meal to your cart in a single click.
That is about creating a meaningful and sustainable customer experience that will have your shoppers coming back again and again. I want to remind our audience, go to cpgguys.com. You can find all of our episodes there. They're all organized by topic. So it makes it easy for you to find a subject that is of interest to you. And if you think you or your company has some thought leadership to contribute to this ongoing community discussion, drop us an email at contact@cpgguys.com. Maybe you can join us for a future episode of this podcast. And don't forget, if you're on Apple or Spotify, please, please, please scroll down to the rating and review section. Give us a star rating. Whatever number you prefer. My favorite number's 5. It's up to you what you want to give. But do also leave us a review, because we want to hear from you. What's of interest? Are we talking about what interests you? That we choose a lot of the topics based upon the feedback that we get, and we select guests based upon that. And that's why we think our podcast it resonates so well, to the tune of now over 31,000 followers on LinkedIn. We're so grateful that you turn to us for education and a little bit of entertainment. Jill, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to join us and talk to us about the great things you're doing at Albertsons Companies. We're really appreciative.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was absolutely great. Such an important topic, one we haven't delved into nearly enough, more so from the retail media side, but really good to get it from the overall digital shopping experience side. So with that, I'll say to our audience, we're so grateful that you come to the CPG Guys. We're closing in on episode 400. Hard to believe. My God, four plus years, 400 episodes. It is, I don't know where the time went really quick. But in any event, thanks all for listening. We look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of, wait for it, the CPG Guys podcast. Goodbye. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys, LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys, LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.